So let's talk about one of my favorite things in geometry, which are circles and arcs. Okay, now you already copied down definitions and we discussed the terminology, but I just want to kind of go over it before we talk about the specifics. So first, an arc. An arc is just a part of a circle. Okay, it has two endpoints. Ooh, let's get this eraser. Ooh, there we go, portion of a circle. It has two endpoints. Okay, so here we have A and B as the endpoints of this arc. That would be measuring this arc right here. Okay, and we'll see in a second what that's actually called. That's a type of an arc. Okay, so an arc is named by two endpoints, so we would call this arc AB. Okay, that's the actual arc. Like, you know, when we name a segment, it's a segment and then AB. If I'm talking about the measure of this arc, I put my little m there for measure and then arc AB. And that would give us the degree measure of the arc, which we'll talk about in a second. Okay, so there's three types of arcs. Our first arc is what we call the minor arc. Okay, the minor arc is an arc that measures less than 180 degrees. So we know that an arc is named by its two endpoints. So an arc that's less than 180 degrees, that would be less than half the circle, because we know the circle is 360 degrees. So if we want to name some minor arcs here, we would have arc AB. Make sure we put our arc on top. Let's see, arc DC or CD. Now they could be named either way because you're just naming with the endpoint. So if I say arc DC and then I say arc CD, that's naming the same arc. How about arc AD? Right here, there's arc AD. I don't know if you can see that when I write it. Okay. What other ones? Arc BC. I'm sure there's more. How about this? We could actually pass through A. So if I wanted to name a large arc, let me get a highlighter so we can see a little better. Let's do arc BD. So that would be passing through A, and that's okay. We don't have to include that A in the name. When we're naming a minor arc, we just name it by its endpoints. So because it's less than 180 degrees, so we know we're going the shortest distance around the circle from those to those the next endpoint. So if we said arc BD, we know that it's passing through A. Okay, I think you get the idea there with minor arcs. The next arc that we're going to talk about is the major arc. And the major arc is an arc that measures between 180 and 360 degrees, meaning that it's more than half of the circle. When we name a major arc, we name it with 3 points. You have the two endpoints, and then the middle point is like a direction point. So it tells you which way to go about this around the circle to get to that other endpoint. So for example, if I look at the circle, let's do a major arc, so more than half of the circle. So let me go arc BAC. So I'm starting at B, I'm ending at C. Now if I just said arc BC, I would assume that it's the minor arc between B and C. But I had to give that middle direction point to say, okay, I'm going the opposite way around the circle. Now, if I wanted to say, and I said arc BDC, right? B and then pass through D and C. That would be the same arc as if I said arc BAC, because it's still passing through A and passing through D and ending at that endpoint C. These are the two same arcs. We could also change the endpoint. So if I said arc CDB, that's the same thing, or arc CAB, that is also the same thing. See if you could find some major arcs here. All right, I see. How about if I start at D and I pass through C and end at B? So that arc is arc DCB. Okay, so major arc named with 3 points. Okay, next one, our last one is the semicircle. And the semicircle is an arc whose measure equals 180 degrees. It's exactly half of the circle. The endpoints of the semicircle, and this is very important, the endpoints of the semicircle are the endpoints of the diameter. You don't know for sure you have a semicircle unless you know for sure you have a diameter. Okay, so here I could see that I have a diameter, it's passing through the center. Directions will usually say like segment AC is a diameter, or segment AC passes through the center. Then we know we have a semicircle. Okay, semicircle equals 180 degrees because that's half of 360. When I name a semicircle, I also have to name it with 3 points because we have to know which half of the circle we're talking about. If I were just to say arc AC, I don't know if you mean the top semicircle or the bottom semicircle. So we need to name it with 3 points. So we have our 2 endpoints, which are the endpoints of the diameter, and then 1 point in the middle. So if I say arc ABC, I know that that's that red semicircle up at the top. And if I were to say arc ADC, I know that that's that bottom half. Okay? And again, these 2 endpoints could be switched in the name as long as that middle point is the direction. All right? Fun stuff.